Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I am Taylor Field. That is right. And this is a little bit delayed, but we are here. It is still the weekend. This is the Bad Batch retrospective, not retrospective, sorry, coming off the Harry Potter retrospective. This is the Bad Batch spoilers review, episode 4. Now, oh my gosh, I'm very excited to get into this. So, I'm just going to say right off the hop that if you don't want spoilers, just go watch the episode because there's not much to talk generally in these episodes for a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section. So go watch the episode, then come on back and we'll talk. We'll have some conversation. So the Bad Batch episode 4, 3, 2, 1, spoilers inbound. Now, I don't know what it is with this show. It's becoming its own thing. It's becoming so different from the Clone Wars, and as a show itself, I didn't think I would want this initially, but I want a Bad Batch live action feature film. I really, really do. I'm loving the storyline. I'm loving how Omega is playing into this world with these characters. I love the dynamic between their personalities that are developing and expanding in this universe, and everything about it. Not even needing the glorified pinpointed Star Wars Easter eggs like other films may have in the past. It just, to me, it feels like a Star Wars adventure with the detail to the score that they have, the detail to the aesthetic and everything, and the adventure that they go on. It just feels like Star Wars, and I love it. The adventure does not stop. It just keeps on going. And it now has me really curious because we get to see, obviously, the clones interact in a scenario that is much more not just fighting clankers. This is them in the real world for the first time now, not dealing with the clankers, not dealing with the now created empire or just their clone trooper brethren, former brethren, the regs. So now we're in the real world, and between that and them having to deal with bounty hunters, it's just nuts. So with people betraying them, trying to form alliances, allies, just trying to know who you can trust. It was awesome that we got to see them go to Pantora, I believe was the planet, which is great. I love going to these locations, the adventure. So when they went there, and then they had to deal with this guy who betrays them and sells them out basically to Fennec. Now, Fennec is a character introduced in Mandalorian season 1, very short-lived storyline, but she came back. And again, I wasn't super sold on her character in the season 1 The Mandalorian because they killed her off right away and I didn't know what to think of it. Come season 2, I was all on board the Fennec hype train. She was freaking awesome. I love what she brought to the table. And now to see a younger gosh, what would be the proper term? I don't want to say like in her prime, but I feel like the difference between this and The Mandalorian is what, like over 20 years, probably about 25 years off the top of my head. So, you go back 25 years in anyone's lifetime, you're going to have someone who's probably more in their prime, but not as much experience, which is very viable. So in this case, you have a younger, I don't want to, not necessarily impulsive, but it's hard to get a good bead on her or read because she's definitely, you feel unsettled, but at the same time in this show so far, like she's genuine, and not even from a sense like she's trying to rescue the kid, which at times it felt like, but she's just trying to collect the bounty. Obviously, who's she working for? I don't know. Probably the Empire at this point, or Kaminoans. But she's just becoming like a very interesting character. I'm trying to figure out more about her in the storyline. I love the action. I love that she went toe to toe with a clone trooper. I love that she went toe to toe with Hunter. I think that was fantastic. I do think that seeing her take down Wrecker as quickly as I was, it kind of made me chuckle. I'm sure Travis will really enjoy that, but it just, the clones being able to hold their own out in the real world like this, just fighting, was just so awesome. And she walked away limping, but she's very lucky she didn't get killed. The attention onto Omega now and not the rest of the clone troopers, I'm telling you, she's a force-sensitive clone. She's got to be force-sensitive. I think Filoni went there, and he is just dangling the carrot in front of us. So Aside from that, the episode was dark. There was a lot of death, people being thrown from their speeders, the Pantora police being shot at and killed. There was a lot of craziness going on. And it goes to show too that we have the characters, okay, their goal is to get to a place that they can essentially hide out in. They're looking at the long term. The plans obviously change now because now they are suspicious of the bounty hunter and they're trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? So they need to figure out where this bounty hunter was dispatched from, who's in charge. I genuinely suspect it's the Kaminoans that are doing this behind the Empire's back. But that being said, I feel like it I don't know why, but the fact that they pulled in characters from the Mandalorian into this, I have a like it wouldn't necessarily make sense for Gideon because Gideon's all about the Mandalorians and such like that. So I doubt we're getting back into Mandalore stuff in this. It just wouldn't make sense. But I feel like maybe you could have like a mention or a nod of Gideon somehow, because I feel like they're just gonna, this show is going to have several other tie-ins with the Mandalorian, specifically because you have Fennec. I mean, that's just huge to dump a character in there, and I mean, it's awesome. I think it's freaking fantastic. I'm trying to think what else. When Echo has disguised as a droid, I absolutely love that. I love that this honorable sales shopkeeper was trying to barter and buy him, and Echo's like, no, I'm not worth, like, I'm 4,000 credits. And he looks like a droid too. It's really funny. And he just takes charge of these other droids and they go and fix the ship, which was really, really funny. Again, they're just imposing the Imperial credits whole thing on people, like trade in your what was it, your expired or your outdated credits for Imperial credits, which is just, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand how a procedure like that works. I've never dealt with anything like that, but if you have a system where you've created a new currency and people trade in the old valuable currency for this new currency, you're just stockpiling this old currency. I feel I don't know, it seems like a scam. It's like creating only a digital currency and asking people to trade all of their physical, like silver, gold, regular currencies in for something that's digital and could be like erased or monitored. Like, who, that conspiracy Taylor coming out there. But yeah, it's an interesting setup, and they're leaving the Imperial propaganda kind of in the background, which subtly, which I like. They have the clone troopers going by, and it's like, oh, a chain code outpost over here on Pantora now too, just like there was in Seleucami. Like it's just, things are changing, and I love how Hunter just has this concept where the war is over, as Omega points out, but we need to basically lay low. Things are changing much faster than he anticipated with the Empire. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. Now, we do have, obviously, Tech, which just, he never disappoints. He pops off. I love that he's just got a solution for everything. Like, oh, our ship is on a wanted manifest now. It's like, Tech's no problem. Tech can just go in and fix it. I love that. I think it's awesome. Every squad needs a tech guy. It's never fails. The things that they can do, making chain codes, erasing their ship's manifest IDs, like, just great. So they ended up getting a lot of money. They got about 4,000 credits. And after a little bit of a ruckus, they managed to all meet up back at the ship, escape. And at this point, I'm sure that we'll be able to see them carry on with their mission. Now, when they did escape, Fennec, it was made out like she was going to assassinate this guy who was watching the hangar bay, basically. And she didn't. She paid him and then carried on. So I think that's very fitting with her character and consistent at the same time, because she's proven to be someone who is just a loyal character who is very honorable and trusting and trustworthy. So when it comes down to Mandalorian season 2, she holds true still to that in that day and age, where even all this has gone down post Empire, everything. She was rescued by Boba Fett. She holds her word very, very strongly and in high regard. And I like that. I like that a lot with characters. You don't have just like regular old bounty hunters who'll just kill you for no reason, but there's this code of honor and ethics among them, which I think makes them much more than just a killing machine, which I think is great. So Other than that, I don't think there were any significant Easter eggs. The score was awesome, really, really good. Again, I think there's more to Omega than we're being led on with. And it was awesome to see them in a natural civilian setting. And even when they landed at the hangar bay for the first time, and the guy watching the hangar was basically, I won't scan your ship's manifest ID if you can, give me some incentive. And they're like, Tech puts a little bit of money in, and they don't understand. And Wrecker's is like, oh, you said you wouldn't do it. Yeah, if I have incentive. But it's funny. It's just, you're like a young, like a grown man who lives at home with rich parents, and they pay all your bills and do everything for you, and you finally get cut off and you go out in the real world, and you don't understand the dynamics of everything. Basically, I just think it's a funny parallel. You have these characters going through this adventure, and it's so similar. You have very well trained, war seasoned fighters, the Bad Batch, but they're so, I would say, minus Hunter to a degree, they're so inexperienced in dealing with civilians in the outside realm of just what they got to do to survive. And you have the same with Omega, who's not a seasoned war veteran, but is going through this adventure and these experiences for the first time, which I think speaks volumes. So they all share this common, basically this common development in their characters and what they're learning through this adventure, which I think is just great. And Omega was very trusting in this scenario, but it was convincing. I think it did a great job at reflecting the dangers of kids being helped by strangers. So this is a very important episode that you should get your kids to watch, because your kids might be targets of a bounty hunter, and the bounty hunter might try to abduct your kids from you and your genetically modified clones that you're taking care of with her. So yeah, I would definitely give this episode a high rank. It felt like Star Wars. It really, really did. This episode just made me feel like I want a Bad Batch movie. Dave, you got this. So I'm going to end it there. Yeah, I should have done plugs at the beginning, but be sure to check us out on GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Check us out, early episodes, ad-free on our Patreon. And yeah, we have a bunch more content coming out. Our Harry Potter retrospectives are popping off weekly on our Patreon, ad-free early. And then we have our what else do we have? I will be doing a Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous season 3 spoilers review coming at you eventually this week sometime. And then we're also doing a Army of the Dead review spoilers. So that has either dropped by now or is going to be coming. So make sure you tune into that. And yeah, just all the newscasts we got popping off. So until next time, I will see you in the search bar. Have a good one.